almost right.
I'll blow the screen up too. Thank you. Try to see if he wants to get back on, just so that he hears this. No, no, no. If he's not asking to get back on yet. Yeah.
Sure.
Okay, the time is now 12:10, and I'm concluding the executive session. The following participants in the session were trustee Mamanakis, trustee Roth, trustee Martinez, clerk, admin, treasurer Ariel Blackwell, and me, Mayor Benjamin Byer. For the record, any person who participated in the executive session believes that any substantial discussion of any matters not included in the motion to go into executive session occurred during executive session, or that any improper action occurred during the executive session in violation of the open meetings law. I would ask that you state your concerns now. Hearing none, the next agenda item is a motion to officially close the executive session.
I move we close the executive session.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion, all in favor? Aye. Okay, so coming out of the executive session, is there anything that anybody would like to make a motion for or to give direction for?
Well, let's see if I can remember this. So I would like to direct the mayor to talk to Desi.
Yep.
And about
About the purchase, possible.
about the possible purchase of real estate, and then also to speak with our attorney on whether we need a public meeting,
Public hearing.
about this issue.
Okay. I will take that direction. Doesn't need to be a motion. That it? All right, executive session, SGM agreement for professional services. We have that in our binder.
This is the agreement that SGM provided to act as our floodplain, as our town floodplain administrator. In conjunction with this, they're asking $178 an hour to do it, which I believe we had also talked about putting back on the homeowner.
Yeah, I do think that we need a preliminary. I think that with that, we need to either have FEMA try to get FEMA to come back out and do one of their floodplain, and I don't know exactly how that works. But FEMA, our code refers a lot to FEMA, being the sort of overall floodplain inventory per se, doing an inventory on our floodplains, and then having a floodplain administrator that can direct in on that, because right now we don't know the boundaries of the floodplain exactly. So I don't know exactly if we could tell our engineer to reach out to FEMA. That might be a really good way to start, like that they're asking for a floodplain management. What is it called? Floodplain.
What is this? What number is this in?
It's a number.
For an old business.
Old business
Old
number
business.
19A. Where is it? Floodplain.
Now, we talking, road and drainage design regarding the whole town or just the cemetery?
Well, no, this is different.
It looks like just cemetery to me.
No. Go look at your binder.
So Chino thought that the town of Crestone, Saguache County.
No, this isn't it. Before that. This is.
Oh,
Okay. Oh, these come on. Thank you. Does anyone know what?
Review floodplain developments.
Station. Does anyone know where floodplain, is in our code? Just was looking at it, but I now lost it.
Yeah, I tried to download the code and do searchable stuff and I couldn't figure
Can't
it
do
out.
searchable yet, just. I don't think, maybe you can,
It would be nice. We could be,
please search.
We did pay for that, or, not saying you can't, it's just, it's something that Unicode offers. but-
Okay, I actually
It's a
searched it,
additional
floodplain
cost.
management.
Uh-huh.
14.3. So it's in 14. 15, oh, so 14. Okay, I'm getting there.
yeah, because I found I could highlight words, but the idea that I can't search those words is kind of strange at that point.
It's under 14. 14. But where are you? And use, conditional use, sewer. Wait, Jesus. There it is, okay. Vision for flood hazard reduction, 14. We have a bunch. Okay. It's starting at 14. Under environment, so we're down to 14,250-ish. Has to do with mudslides. I mean, it's a big chapter on our floodplain. Here it is, floodplain management, Article 1 in general, Article 2 floodplain management. Legislator has in CRS 29, Article 20. Delegated the responsibility of local governmental units to adopt regulations designed to minimize flood losses. Therefore, the Board of Trustees of the Town of Crestone does hereby adopt the following floodplain management regulations. Finding of fact. The flood hazard areas of the town are subject to periodic inundation, which can result in loss of life and property, health and safety hazards, disruption of commerce and governmental services, and extraordinary public expenditures for flood protection and relief, all of which adversely affect the health, safety, and general welfare of the public. These flood losses are created by the culminative effect of obstructions in floodplains, which cause an increase in flood heights and velocities, and by occupancy of flood hazard areas by uses vulnerable to floods and hazards to other lands because they are inadequately elevated, flood-proofed, or otherwise protected from flood damage. Statement of purpose. It is the purpose of this article to promote health, safety, and general welfare and to minimize public and private losses due to flood conditions in specific areas by provisions designed to protect human life and health, minimize expenditure of public money and for costly flood control projects, minimize the need for rescue and relief efforts associated with flooding and generally undertaken at the expense of the general public. Minimize prolonged business interruptions, minimize damage to critical faculties, infrastructures, and other public faculties such as water, sewer, and gas mains, electrical and communication stations, and streets and bridges located in floodplains. Help maintain a stable tax base by providing for the sound use and development of flood-prone areas in such a manner as to minimize future flood blight areas, and ensure that potential buyers are notified that property is located in a flood hazard area. Okay, so that number 7 is really important.
So we're doing 14,
14,240.
14,240.
Now I am. Methods of reducing flood losses. In order to accomplish its purposes, this article uses the following methods. Restrict or prohibit uses that are dangerous to health, safety, or property in times of flood or cause excessive increases in flood heights or velocities. Require the uses vulnerable to floods, including faculties which serve such uses to be protected against flood damage at times of initial construction. Control the alteration of natural floodplains, stream channels, and natural protective barriers which are involved in an accumulation of floodwaters. Control filling, grading, dredging, and other development which may increase flood damage. Prevent or regulate the construction of flood barriers which will unnaturally divert waters or which may increase flood hazards to other lands. Unless specifically defined below, words or phrases used in this article shall be interpreted to give them the meaning they have in common usage and to give this article its most reasonable application. You guys want me to keep going? No. Point being, I'm gonna skip ahead here. Okay, so it's called a flood insurance study, FIS. Means the official report provided by the Federal Emergency Management Agency. The report contains the flood insurance rate map as well as flood profiles for studied flood sources that can be used to determine base flood elevations for some areas. Flood insurance rate map firm means an official map of a community on which the Federal Emergency Management Agency has delineated both special flood hazard areas and the risk premium zones applicable to the community. So these are kind of like the very first things that we need to have done. We have a little bit of a flood report, right? Do we still have that flood? We have a flood management.
Yeah, I have no idea what we have.
Have the report, but we don't have a map.
We don't have a map yet. So.
I mean, I'm somewhat confused on the purpose of all this. I mean, I understand why. Just honestly, it just seems to come down to some sort of control that the town has over people. Like, for example, when we had our last flood, the mayor wasn't around and I had to sign the FEMA Act, the Emergency Act, to get funding to the town to deal with the flood at the time and some of the mending of the roads and different things after the flood. But what we did was we handled it very well for a small town. And I'm not saying that we couldn't get into trouble, but I'm just not 100% sure what we're accomplishing on putting. This ends up being a pretty big, large burden on the people of the town when they're building and stuff, and it's just it's just
From my minimal education, if you're in a floodplain, you can get flood insurance. If you're not in a floodplain, you can't buy flood insurance. But if you are in a floodplain and purchase flood insurance, it's expensive as heck. It is almost not affordable.
my father's in 2 separate floodplains and he almost couldn't get insured for his house. Because there are 200-year floodplains that come through.
Ours is supposedly 100 and we're about 25 years over.
Yeah, and I'm just, I guess today isn't really the day I wanna pick the town apart.
Okay, so let's just do this. We have a floodplain administrator that needs us to sign a contract with him.
And the floodplain administrator is in which governmental body? Or
It
which
would be
insurance
an
company?
executive. Executive,
So is it FEMA or is it?
No.
who is
it's our engineer,
Our engineer,
is our floodplain administrator.
I was the letter.
and what's the requirement on our behalf to do this work?
So we need some boundaries set, we need to know what our floodplain risk is.
And our floodplain risk is to protect the townspeople, to get
So,
it more
if you-
exact.
I didn't keep going, but in our definitions, we have.
Yeah.
We have the. 100-year flood means a flood having reoccurrence interval that has a 1% chance of being equaled or exceeded during any given year, 1% annual chance of flood. The terms 100-year flood and 1% chance of flood are synonymous with the 100-year flood.
Oh,
The term does not imply that the flood will necessarily happen once every 100 years. 100-year floodplain means the area of land susceptible to being inundated as a result of the occurrence. Inundated,
Sorry.
inundated,
I
inundated,
didn't mean to correct.
inundated,
I'm not
inundated.
sharp as a tack,
No,
inundated,
inundated as a result of the occurrence of a
Yeah.
100-year flood.
yeah,
500-year flood means a 0.2% chance,
yeah,
so. You know what an alluvial fan means?
yeah,
Okay.
and I know we've done a lot of flood control over the last 15 years. We've done a lot of adjustments to our culverts and stuff up the hill, I was witness to it, so I was
Very
on-
little. Very little has been done, so there's,
We were always working on flood control.
no, so there was phase 1, phase 2, and phase
Yeah.
3.
Yeah,
We got phase 2 done, but phase 3 was where all that water goes after,
right, we were having some problems with where it goes over
right?
the.
So, I mean. All I'm trying to say is that we have 2 major hazards in this town, flood and fire,
Sure,
and each one requires some attention.
yeah,
And this is putting the attention on the flood side of it, the mitigation is trying to put attention on the fire side.
right,
And I'm not saying that we have to go through the whole, bring FEMA in, I'm not saying that, I'm asking for some basics, because we were never able to do a restructuring of the, spillgate.
right, that's,
Floodgate that's up in Crestone, because we don't have enough information. So I gave Ariel the number of a National Forest Service guy who does water. That's his job, and
right,
she has that contact, and when we're more ready, we can prove that thing is gonna malfunction, and we would. Look at maybe getting it fixed, so that if there was a big flood coming out of Crestone, it would.
this is the spillway that's right at the
It's
bridge.
owned by the National Forest Service.
Uh-huh. Like, I have a lot of history knowing what that spillway
So
was.
general assessment is it's not gonna work.
It did work during the last big flood.
No, it didn't.
We were able to guide our excess water out that spillway.
With a boulder.
Yeah, with boulders and stuff.
Yeah, it wasn't that efficient, but
Yeah, it wasn't official, it
We've
was a
done-
small town
yeah.
ambulance station, but. So I'm just saying, I'm not always in agreement with just building more and more and more administration. And putting more requirements on the people that,
I don't think you're putting requirements on, but for instance, I'll give you an example.
yeah,
Somebody buys a piece of land that's totally in the floodplain,
yeah,
we have a 100-year flood.
yeah,
It gets wiped out, it gets pushed down into the creek, causes a huge obstruction.
flooding or.
Flood goes like this, spreads out.
Pretty good worst case scenario there.
And Ariel signed the paperwork so that, because we didn't know there was a floodplain.
Yeah,
And now all of a sudden, the town's liable for,
Yeah,
for that, because,
there's a bit I don't know about some.
So Ariel's fault.
no, it comes down to the board. But she's the one that signed the,
Then our insurance covers it, probably the town's insurance.
right,
But,
but do you wanna have that fight, or do you wanna say,
it's
we
unfortunate.
have a floodplain area that is
Well,
recognized,
yeah,
and you have a floodplain area that's recognized, and when somebody wants to build within that floodplain, they have to have a certain engineering standard that has to be, cause it hasn't been taken into account
yeah.
in the
I
past.
mean, yeah, you're making some sense.
So what happened with the lady that bought that land that didn't know it was a floodplain won't happen again? Is that part of it?
Well,
There's a gentleman looking at that property that really wants to build and be a permanent resident, not just a B and B. And then he's talked about putting up some sort of a structure or
Kind of build the land,
firm, like,
move the land up, like kind of add.
whatever it is that, you know,
Engineer.
we're not an engineer,
Yeah.
I don't know.
we don't know,
So,
and so the idea is that rather than saying to him, we think you're in the floodplain,
Yeah,
and we think that you should do something.
that doesn't sound like the town's authority naturally rests 100% legitimately in
Right.
saying.
So what if we said, the engineer is recognizing this floodplain?
I think getting the floodplain recognized is safe enough,
Right.
so I'll go that far with.
And that would be the first thing that we
Yeah.
would do with that.
Yeah,
And we don't have to go through FEMA. FEMA does come in because I think they're trying to protect the insurance companies.
right, I mean, I just have suspicion over, all this.
Well, I appreciate your suspicion, it's government.
No, we
Yeah,
can't do this,
I don't wanna ask permission to do everything I
Yeah.
do.
we have to do this in a way that's semi-invisible.
there is
But we do
a,
have, we have the legislation already written in.
there is a small town ethic, and I don't think that we should be small town stupid. But, you know, I think we should try to retain protection over our people when government overreaches. On the other hand, be just as suspicious of the things coming from this way as that.
Yeah, I would agree.
So like, that's
Yeah.
where I'm kind of standing.
I would agree with that. I'm just stating that we were, it says in our, I didn't get there yet, but it says in our code that we were gonna be mapped by FEMA. So that it doesn't have to necessarily be FEMA, but then it's probably gonna come out of our pocket to be mapped, is all I'm saying. So in other words, FEMA will do it because they have money to do that.
Right.
They have money to do that work. We can possibly benefit from it, but we might actually take a hit from it too, because cause it might go to the insurance companies, you know? And I don't know if that's a bad thing. I think people who are in the floodplain, maybe they pay a little extra in insurance. I mean, it might be something that's
Well,
necessary.
yeah,
I mean,
It'd be better for them to find out before they
Yes.
purchase the land though.
Just to bring it back to this contract in general.
oh, what were we working on?
SGM?
Cause
Yes.
I think that's kind of a separate.
To get it
conversation.
mapped.
It's good to have,
It-
it's getting it mapped, but it's not having SGM map it for us. This contract with SGM is to pretty much honor the code that we already have in
Yes.
place. That says that we need to have a town floodplain administrator. And that they need to help sign off on building permit applications that come into the office. So this is just to get SGM as our town floodplain administrator. So when people come to me with building permit applications that are in the floodplain, we can go to SGM and say, hey, can you look at this and tell us structurally if this is reasonable or not, their building permit like their actual plans. So that, again, when I do sign the building permit, that I know that it was
Okay,
a structural
and
assessment.
what is our job concerning this to?
just a motion.
A motion to
Just
approve
to
it?
approve it.
I'm not gonna move to approve it, I just need to get a little more context.
Okay, so let me just tell you, I'll give you one more thing.
I don't think I struggle with this, and I do see the point, by the way, I do see the point you're making, I'm not oblivious to it.
So can I ask you to do some homework?
At the moment, I'm overwhelmed, but I would love to do
So
the,
read this whole chapter, 14.2.1, 14.2.
you're printing this out for me, did you say?
Last time I looked, half of it was at least.
That's one, so if I come in for a permit. And my land is in a floodplain, Ariel's not an engineer or company, so SGM will look and tell you that it's in a floodplain and you would deny my permit.
I wouldn't deny it, they would look at, and it's not just about building in the floodplain, it's about when you bring a building permit application to the town of Crestone, you need to have your plans in place, right? So that you can know what's being built and the setbacks and all the things, whatever are meshing or, appropriate.
Sewer, the water,
All of that, so SGM would take a look at the plans, they would take a look at the floodplain itself, and then they would make a recommendation to me or us as a town of Crestone that like, yes, this is structurally sound, or no, this is crazy. And
Cause that's not something you could do.
that's not something
Cause that's
I'm.
like too complicated, like I wouldn't, you have to have a degree
I'm
for
not
that,
an
yeah.
engineer,
Exactly, yeah.
I don't have experience in
So-
building, I've never been a contractor.
Reasonably, they're just gonna come back to us with, that guy should get an engineer stamp, right? These are the.
Well, reasonably, they would come back with the stamp, they would say like, okay,
They would stamp it,
that's what I would understand, they would say
Uh-huh.
like, this is approved,
yeah,
this is a structurally sound.
That's not something anyone we have here can do anyway, so.
and there would be a charge to the person building for.
They would charge us to town, and we haven't talked about what that looks like. So
Yeah.
the bill would come to us, and what's been recommended is that bill go back to the builder themselves.
It sounds a little. I mean, it sounds like,
I'm not saying.
it sounds like 60% well put together and 40%
Let me read something.
giving me
The
a.
town clerk or other designated trained staff members is hereby appointed as floodplain administrator or to administrate. Floodplain administrator
Yeah,
or to administer, implement, and enforce the provisions of the article and other appropriate sections of 44 CFR National Flood Insurance Program regulations pertaining to floodplain management. Duties. The duties and responsibilities of the floodplain administrator shall include, but not limited to, review, approve, or deny all applications for floodplain development permits required by adoption of this article.
And I'm saying.
And that's our town.
He's not gonna do it.
Well, you
There's
shouldn't
a lot
do
I
it.
would do for you, there's a lot I will do for you as a board, but I will not sign off on.
I just don't think the town should have put those ordinances in the first place, that's
Well,
great.
they are, if
Yeah,
you wanna repeal them, then we have to go through the whole process of repealing.
I mean, we put bad ordinances in here, and there's no way those are functional.
Well, so did you see the floods that happened in Texas?
I'm not,
27 people died.
yeah. I mean,
I mean,
I
come on,
heard.
Donnie, our job is really, like, we are so lucky that we haven't had a flood in 100 years. We haven't had floods. And they have killed people, and they have wiped out properties.
Yeah,
And if your property gets wiped out because of a flood,
yeah,
you're gonna be
I'm
pretty
looking at,
pissed.
I'm looking at that, the damage that could occur, of course I am.
We have to do something. It's not, this is set up for the health, safety, and welfare of the people of Crestone.
Well.
We have a big
Just put the
alluvial
cart
fan
before
coming
the
up.
horse on this ordinance, that's
Huh?
all I'm saying. You put the cart before the horse on this ordinance, that's.
Not really, it's been sitting here forever.
How old's that ordinance, is it like 20 years old?
You can read when it came out, I don't
I
know.
bet it was mid-80s.
It is, so.
No, it's probably you and me were working on this and back in a while back, 6, 7, 8 years.
I mean, I think flooding, I think there's a lot we could do about flooding.
Yeah,
I think that if we have maps and stuff and we recognize the fact that the alluvial fan could really do a lot of damage, more damage than North Crestone.
having
we
a
have a
map
flood-
looks reasonable.
If we have a flood up Burnt Gulch
Yeah,
and it comes down like a flash flood,
yeah,
which is where big ones have come,
yeah.
we could wipe out half this town.
I'm aware of the Burnt Gulch floods, quite aware.
So I'm just saying, you could have a 0.2% chance on a 500-year flood.
Yeah, I mean, we have some things in place, but where the water actually goes, there's a lot of dispute about. I think it's kind of going out into Steve's land or something.
There's actually, it's a fan, so it fans out.
Yeah.
Most of the time it lands right on the store.
Right, it has in the past. They have put some, there have been a lot of things put in
Yes.
place to stop that
So the
from.
point is that you have 100 year, you have a 500 year.
Yeah,
You have 1,000 year. I'm just saying, we might have gotten a plan for a 5 year flood.
I don't wanna be a big thorn, and that's why I didn't really, not excited about being on town council, and I apologize.
Well, I
My
appreciate
fault.
you, I appreciate your like, sort of like not wanting government over.
I don't like the ordinance being in before we have some way to enact the ordinance. I don't like,
But aren't we enacting it right now by putting a floodplain administrator in? Otherwise it fell in the
So,
court.
but we don't know how to put we haven't figured out who's paying for it, and
We're paying for it right now.
the people, the citizen might have
If
to
we-
pay for it.
yeah.
In a little while, we'll work it out to
Right, we would have a fee,
The
an
fee.
impact fee.
an impact fee. But we are providing the certification, that their plan is reasonable.
So. We have a flood plan, I gotta find it, but there's like a plan, or not a plan, a report. That came out a while back, there was no mapping in that report.
Yeah,
So really, if we're gonna pay SGM at some point, we really need some kind of mapping.
right,
And
That sounds
if you
imminent.
fall within that map, you would have to pay an impact fee.
yeah.
That goes towards the engineer to be able to review plans. That
And
are fall
stamp
within
them or
that.
not stamp. So we're not requiring, on the
Every-
positive side, we're not requiring, some building codes or anything like that, but we are requiring engineering that would hold up to flooding. And we're stamping it ourselves.
We would have
Could
the,
we have them, could they possibly also independently get a stamp? Is that?
well, they would probably get plans that has a stamp on it, and then we would just have it reviewed.
Uh-huh.
And then they would say, yeah, that.
So we
Yeah.
would be, just to be transparent here, we would be almost requiring they get a stamp. Or they could just go through our review process and be stamped by our towns.
Yeah, but first we have to recognize the areas that are vulnerable and how vulnerable.
No,
they are.
I got that, I thought I acknowledged that already, but once we have our maps
Yeah.
in the floodplain, you can either just go through our process with your building plan and we may be able to stamp it for you, or you could get your own engineer stamp and our engineer will check your
Review it.
engineer. Like, is that
Yeah.
exactly, so, like,
Yep.
cause I just don't, I mean, I really just don't want people to get screwed over in that sort of money.
Well,
I don't want that either. I don't wanna be responsible for.
No, I get your position too, I totally, I understand, you should not be in that, have to be in that position, 100%.
the other thing,
So,
the other big thing is that we've already made a lot of mistakes,
yeah,
and we're all affected by those mistakes.
yeah,
And so we should learn from our mistakes.
the only thing that eats at me about all of this is like, I'm looking at me 30 years ago and I'm excluding myself from being able to build in certain circumstances.
Yeah,
And I was, like, there aren't many places in the world where you can build your freaking house.
I agree.
Like, and so
I don't think this excludes,
it would exclude me back in
Okay,
that
so-
day.
so for instance, if you do your due diligence
Uh-huh,
prior to buying the
If
piece
you
of
have the
land.
zoning change to suit you, so yes, it worked out for you.
I mean, things have worked out for me, it's just that I look through people, with,
Well,
I
look
look through the
at
lens of
somebody
people
that-
without means.
Look at somebody without means that
Yeah.
wants to buy a piece of land,
Yeah,
would you advise them to buy a piece of land in the floodplain, or would you?
I actually do think that is short-sighted, and I'm, part of me is. Like, although I have a little resistance, I tend to agree that short-sightedness should fall on the person who have the short sight.
Right, buy
You know,
everywhere, yeah.
Like, they should pay the price for their own mistakes. It's just, I also look at what this could lead to in in other ordinances, we just get all that comfort in building all these ordinances, so.
We just don't have that many.
So a minimal set of rules is kind of what I'm reviewing in my head, what is the minimum, but it's kind of looking okay to me. I'm just,
So it's kind of like a civil rights thing for you.
Yeah, well, it's just, I mean, like, I'm very aware of how the whole thing is getting built up in all governmental bodies to where people aren't gonna be able to function in another.
I agree with you.
So.
And I don't think that
we
that's
could
going down
easily
that way.
become part of the
I,
problem.
so what I think is that this creates another layer of due diligence that people need to take into
Okay.
account.
I'm hearing you.
And also I
I
would
think you
say,
got me about sold on it.
and, you know, well, it's good, I mean, it creates an argument, it creates thought.
To me, then what I'm really gonna be a little hard on is how much we charge people for this service or whatever.
Right. So if we had impact fees prior to, say, even like the Adley building going in,
Yeah,
you know, and we had scrutinized the code regarding parking. A lot of that would have been played out prior to that building being built.
It would,
right, well, the town haven't thought through every situation that could
The
occur.
PUD up here, had we scrutinized the PUD a lot more, we wouldn't have had an easement or a right of way problem.
Yeah.
Because we would have said, just because you're building a PUD does not mean that you get to push our zoning, you know?
Yeah,
We have certain zoning for
Yeah.
a reason, so that it doesn't create like the congestion up there that they
Yeah.
created. So all I'm saying is, if we can get slightly ahead of the thing with,
Yeah.
like an engineer, if you can get slightly ahead of it. Then the engineer says, you know what, that is a pretty bad flood zone, you're gonna have to do like this thing in order to build.
sure,
And if it's easier for that person, then they know what they're up against before they actually do it. So
they might
then,
not have thought of it.
they might not have thought of it,
okay, I see where most of this is going, I kind of agree.
it actually is for the
I'm
benefit.
gonna give you just a little bit, like the whole idea of the house like going into the creek and.
What did, we've already had that
Yeah,
happen.
it's a rare occurrence, I was.
It's not, I mean, it's rare, but it happened.
Yeah.
I mean, they have pictures of it.
The idea that we're gonna end up in the worst case scenario like that is. I can see the house kind of falling down and. But, anyway,
So
so,
I would entertain a motion to approve SGM as our flood administrator.
I want you guys to use.
I'll make that motion,
We need you to go, yeah, otherwise
Yeah.
you gotta take it to the next. meeting.
as our, advisor, what's that?
Floodplain administrator,
Administrator, floodplain administrator.
but we've already done that, is it something to approve the contract?
Yeah, just approve the contract to sign it.
We've already made them.
And what are our fees here? Sorry, but you.
There
made the
isn't
motion.
fees right now,
There's,
So we're not gonna sign the contract till we know the fees and.
no, that we know the fees, we're just not getting charged any fees until we need the.
Is it hugely expensive?
It's a 178 an hour.
178 an hour.
And if we could work quickly, we can actually put the fee schedule in properly that actually allows for. This to
For
happen,
building on a floodplain?
yeah,
They have the ordinance already, so I'll second.
okay. Wait, did we get it, what was the motion?
to approve the SGM or, floodplain administrator
Contract.
contract.
Okay, and we have a second, okay, any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
I think that if Dennis was here, he would be able to explain even further,
Well-
because he's worked in public works and seen.
I don't really, somebody that's worked in public works in a city may over apply ordinances in my book, so.
Yeah, but every year they had flooding,
I
every year.
Okay, I don't dispute certain aspects of it, I'm just saying that. The larger the place you have, the more ordinances you need to hold the place together, and he may have a view that I wouldn't always agree
Right.
with.
I think this is a very, very, very basic.
Yeah, yeah.
Most places just keep adding ordinances, they don't take away any.
And it becomes absent-minded.
Well, the other thing is, if you take that chapter 14 and you start going through it with a fine tooth comb. And you start seeing things that are just stand out against what you're, you know, and you can argue that point. for us as legislators. Bring it,
Yeah, I'm a little,
Bring it.
that's kind of why I want the ordinances at home to read.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, so the 100-year flood
yeah,
thing, we're overdue for a flood, not that we definitely get one.
I mean, I
they
would,
have flooding in
I would say
Morocco
that-
that was so bad that it knocked cars into holes.
that just building an ordinance that puts the clerk in that position is a bad way to do ordinances.
Well,
In my,
if she wasn't administrator and treasurer at the same time, maybe she could actually.
she's not an engineer, she's
She's
not.
not, but she could say, I need to hire an engineer for this, so that.
I'm just saying, I think that's bad ordinance structure, but.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Since we have the ordinance, we kind of need to.
Okay, motion passed.
yeah.
Do you have anything to say? Oh, move on.
Yeah.
Oh.
She's ready to move on.
Yeah, let's move on.
Yeah.
B, Proposition 123, government agreement. This is.
Oh, right.
No, you explain.
This is the agreement I talked about in my last clerk's report. We're currently enrolled in Proposition 123. And we're required to provide one credit this year, and that means that we would provide one affordable housing unit in the town of Crestone. We don't currently have plans to do that. I checked and Live in Wisdom does not count as that because the building permit came in years prior. So to remain in Prop 123, we have to have that credit. Town of Saguache is offering us one of their credits. They have 24 for a housing development that they're building. So this is the agreement between essentially us and the town of Saguache that we would utilize their credit. And remain in Prop 123.
So I would entertain a motion to approve this. As a technicality for maintaining a credit for.
What is the advantage of the credit again? You explained it and I was.
There's no advantage to it. It's something that we entered into with the state. We pledged that we were going to be a part of Proposition 123, and that's providing affordable housing to the community. And it's just that we haven't done that this year, and we don't have plans to do that this year. So if we don't do that, then we will be essentially de-obligating from Proposition 123.
So,
Lose the benefits of being involved in that agreement. And
but then there is a benefit,
the benefit is if we stay in Proposition 123, we are eligible for all the things that come along with that. There's money that could be provided to the town of Crestone to help with affordable housing.
yeah,
There's actually a lot of benefits, but I
Okay,
can send you more information
no,
with that. too.
I just wanna be clear on a few things, and.
Mhm.
What is the basic format? It's the town itself provides a unit,
Yeah, and one
Every-
unit, it'd be like if we rent it out.
like we used to rent this out, yeah,
And it was considered under the affordable,
affordable housing.
that would be
Okay,
one credit.
So it can't be one of our people that provides that.
It can be anyone in the town, they over there provided an affordable housing.
Honestly, Tom Homer charge is married $300 a month.
I might be providing one item.
So the town gets no benefits now, but we could get benefits from that if we had one unit.
Well, right, this year we get one credit from Swatch, they're giving us a credit.
And there's probably a standard of living in that unit that's also established in that.
In the Prop 123, there are rules for what is considered affordable.
Okay,
One of
okay,
the benefits is if we could get $50,000 this year for the town of Crestone to use for whatever they wanted. If we were willing to pass a resolution saying that we will review building permits within 60 days. We already do that,
yeah,
so it's not crazy to sign that resolution, and then you have 50K for the town to do whatever you want. That
right,
grant administration or.
well, yeah, it's worth a slight review on my rentals, cause they might be in that part.
We only need one credit though, so.
Right,
We're
in the
getting-
future, if
And
we-
to be honest with you, it's something that's new to me, I didn't even know that we were involved in this
Yeah.
until recently, and so I've been doing my research and my homework on it as well.
okay,
So I'm just starting to learn about it, so if I had known about it earlier, then maybe I would have like reached out to people and been like, hey, do we have other
Right.
people
that
who are
makes sense.
satisfying this?
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Well, let me see, how do I word this? I make the motion that we sign the proposition 123 intergovernmental agreement with the town of Saguache for one credit for future.
Or that proposition, whatever,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think that's it for one credit.
Is there a second? Okay. Any more discussion on it?
Who is this thing?
Oh, Memonakis, it's just a man.
Alright.
All in favor? Okay. We have a quorum, we have a unanimous vote, and we have passed that. Now it's signed. Citizens' comments. Are there any citizens, any ghosts that wanna speak? That's all we have in here, is ghosts besides us.
Yes.
Oh. Careful what we ask for.
No, he normally answered.
Thanks. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second,
No, make it.
oh, I entertain a motion.
No, you.
You entertain it,
So,
I move
just-
we adjourn.
So,
Second line.
all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
Well, we went about half hour over, and that's okay.
Yeah, wow.
Good, good discussions.
I
like
get,
it, I
I
like
get
your-
huge pain in the ass, you guys asked it.
I'd rather you be a pain in the ass than here, than
Yeah.
not a pain in the ass and not here.
You haven't seen the worst of it, though. But I try, I